Good morning again. In the late 1970s, both American and Canadian federal governments adopted policies designed to protect human subjects of biomedical and behavioral research from being harmed. The upshot was the creation of research ethics committees or institutional review boards in universities. These bodies became gatekeepers, deciding which research projects would be allowed and which ones not. A new routine in academic life, many of us know, came to be and is still taken for granted, which is before any research project involving humans can be conducted, it has to pass this ethics or IRB review. In the late 1990s, John H. Mueller, an experimental psychologist at the University of Calgary in Canada, began studying these ethics boards and looking for evidence of their effectiveness. What he found was evidence of overreach and infringement of academic freedom. Among many articles reported in his findings, Mueller contributed a chapter to the 2004 book, Workplace Mobbing in Academia, entitled Research Ethics, a New Tool for Harassment in the Academic Workplace. In that chapter, Professor Mueller analyzed 3 cases of the mobbing of psychology professors, wherein research ethics boards played a key part. The most notable and tragic was that of Justine Sargent at McGill University, who committed suicide in 1994 along with her psychologist husband Eves, after years of torment by colleagues who accused her falsely of research misconduct, and they managed to have her publicly humiliated in Montreal's main English language newspaper. Professor Mueller's importance to research on mobbing lies not only in the cases he analyzed, and not only in his attention to ethics boards as one possible tool for making a mob a target's life miserable, but above all in the perspective he brings to research on mobbing. What we're doing here in this conference, he places in a larger context of the history of science and the history of psychology in particular. He knows that challenges faced by dissidents, outliers, and misfits in all times and places, whatever the prevailing zeitgeist or paradigm may be. Professor Mueller earned his PhD at St. Louis University in 1968, and then prior to his move to Calgary, taught in the psychology department at the University of Missouri. There he encountered and befriended 2 students doing their PhDs who've made long and distinguished careers here at Niagara University, Professor Bert Thompson and Professor Donna Thompson. And that's just one more reason that I'm very pleased to introduce Professor John Mueller.
Hello. Welcome to the annual Niagara Conference on Workplace Mobbing. I'm not able to attend in person, but I felt it important to encourage the continuation of researchers gathering to discuss mobbing. I'm long retired, but in looking over the conferences and the related material, I can now see how my own interest developed. I never knew that while life was going on day by day. So some highlights, 83 years in a nutshell, and I'm sure some rambling. As a new academic, I started with a course in the history of psychology. I didn't volunteer for it. I didn't mind it. I just inherited it. And over time, it became one of my favorite courses. Early on, I discovered a concept of zeitgeist. It's developed by Edwin Boring, who was a renowned early historian of psychology. And in short order, I came across Thomas Kuhn's work on the history of science, scientific revolutions, normal science, paradigms, all of which sounded to me a lot like zeitgeist. In Kuhn's analysis, the consensual acceptance of a paradigm has many advantages. Many hands working on a common problem yields progress, especially given tools such as peer review to ensure that everyone works on the same right direction. But even with normal science, there are occasional outliers, misfits, hearing a different drummer. And sometimes these would be eventually vindicated, as Steve Jobs observed once, innovation requires one to think different. And yet in the moment, most of these people are just ignored, left out. Eventually, though, some of them do experience aggressive attention. One of these that I learned early on was a man by the name of Wagner, who proposed the idea of plate tectonics and found it a hard sell. Today, common knowledge, paradigm shifted. So the misfits idea was intriguing, and I began to see cases in history and then in contemporary life. At some later point, I inherited another course, Psychology of Stress, which focused heavily on burnout, some workplace stress, and I added techno-stress to the mix. There was actually very little in that text and course on social psychology, personality, individual differences, and such. There was very little on difficult people, whether they're employees or managers. Nothing on in-group, out-group tensions, which is all very odd when you think about it. Unless you work from home, there are always other people around. So, in addition, the text had nothing on the ancient merits of being watchful of strangers at the campfire, a la ethology. Nothing on mobbing. And nothing on urge for power, which seems to be a real, generally, issue these days. So many people know what's good for everyone and determined to see that all of us get it, good and hard, as Mencken put it. Many other people, though, seem to be very happy just to be led, given a leader, conformity, just following orders. Well, in the history of the course, I had also learned of the development of the American Association of University Professors, the AAUP, and the role played by a couple of early psychologists, James Cattell and Edward Tolman, both of whom had troubles with pacifistic sympathies during World War I and World War II. Stubborn misfits, maybe that's not bad, or is it? I became involved in the Society for Academic Freedom and Scholarship, following the idea really of tolerance for misfits, where I became aware that the campus research ethics committees were being busy compromising academic freedom, as were the federal grant agencies. And at that point, I met Kim Westhuse. I learned of the mobbing idea, and I've maintained interest and contact ever since. And I mention these personal experiences to indicate the mobbing phenomenon has many variants. It's not new. From my distance, it actually seems that the authoritarian shut up, sit down, do as you're told mandate atmosphere is greater than ever, at work, at play, on campus, and off. The phenomenon has many manifestations, many tentacles, a cluster of problems, actually. I don't have any cure or remedy. I don't even know which solution we should be after. One that maintains the status quo, normal science, or one, instead, that moves us to a new paradigm, or something else. So there are many problems still to be solved. Many hands are needed. You're not alone, so go for it. But remember, as Tolman said at his retirement, it's important to have fun. I've had fun. You should too. Think different. Just play well together. Thank you.